start by apologizing for the postponements on Friday. Would have loved to have this gathering as early as 2 o'clock on Friday. Mukatini issued the notice to that effect on Thursday, and then on Friday morning it became very clear that my flight could only be landing here at 2 o'clock. But it was not even to be. It was that flight, fly Safari was postponed to literally 3 o'clock. So it was quite clear I wouldn't be here by even 3 o'clock. So my profuse apologies for that. We are an engaging team, and it is in our best interest to find an opportunity like we are finding now to engage with South Africa, with the media, to share with you what is our perspective on the season gone by, and what our plans are going forward. I must start by re-extending the condolences of AmaZulu Football Club to Mamelodi Sundowns and to the family of the legend of soccer, South African soccer, Alex Chakwana, who we know is Alex Chakwana. My apologies, Chakwana family, who passed on recently. We did extend formal condolences in the form of a letter to Mamelodi Sundowns, but because this was a legend, this was an icon, and this event just happened not so long ago, it is important that we formally share in the grief that all of South Africa's sports family is sharing on the loss of Mr. Chakwana. We have our own legend, Clive Barker, the dog, who has done so much for South African soccer. And news went out not so long ago that he was not well. He's moving on in life. He's not a young man anymore. And he's someone that we think of all the time, because he's not only done well so much for AmaZulu Football Club, but he's done so much for South African soccer. So we want to say to Clive, the dog Barker, wherever he is, at home or in a medical facility, to say we love you, Clive, we think of you, we wish you a speedy and a full recovery. My last conversation with Clive was at Princess Makoko Stadium when we played against Arrows. That was one of the first losses that we suffered. It was actually the first loss that we suffered this past season when we lost 1-0 at Princess Makoko Stadium. The stadium was packed with AmaZulu supporters, and he says to me, Mr. Zungu, President, I love this team, I love you, stay the course. So it is those encouraging words that reverberate in my mind all the time when we go through challenging times, that people like Clive Barker say, stay the course. So we stay the course. And before I get to the issues, I just want to remind people what AmaZulu Football Club is all about. It's a team with a character. It is a team with a personality. It is a team that is steeped in history and tradition. And it is no wonder, therefore, that when a need for engagement on AmaZulu matters arises, that there is this kind of response, which is very encouraging because people want to know what's going on at AmaZulu. AmaZulu is the oldest team in the DStv Premier Soccer League today, undoubtedly. We were established in 1932. The next old team will be Orlando Pirates, which is 5 years our junior, established by Sofasonke Mbanza, a gentleman from Georgetown here in our heartland of KwaZulu-Natal, when he moved over to establish what is now called Orlando, the township. He invaded the municipality land. That's why they're called Omagebula, Abagebula, Umhlaba kaMasipala, Sofasonke Mbanza. Legend has it that he was inspired by the formation of AmaZulu Football Club a few years earlier, that he inspired the formation of Orlando Pirates in 1937. By the time you get to teams like Kaizer Chiefs, Orlando Pirates, Mamelodi Sundowns, the 1970s, those are young teams in relative terms. By the time you get to other teams, Arrows, Royal AM, Sekhukhune, Cape Town's City, and the rest, these are juniors in terms of modern soccer. So here we are talking about a team, whose history is intertwined with the history of South African soccer. In 1932, the then reigning monarch of the Zulu nation, Solomon Kadinuzulu, Kacotshwayo, Kampande, Kasazakhona, Kajama, was persuaded to bless the formation of the soccer team. At the time, the two dominant teams in the province of KwaZulu-Natal were African Wanderers and Bushbucks. African Wanderers was largely located in the Midlands of KwaZulu-Natal, and Bushbucks mainly from the south of KwaZulu-Natal. That's why it will be nicknamed Amabod, Bushbucks. African Wanderers will be nicknamed Abaqubs. There was a need for a team that comes from across the together, what is called KwaZulu. Then when this team was formed, the then reigning monarch was filled with a lot of enthusiasm and excitement. He says, you can proudly attach royalty to this team. Hence, at the time, Zulu Royals, and today, AmaZulu. The association and the proximity to the royalty is our birthright. And the obligation to tie our fortunes to that of the Zulu nation is our obligation. Hence, we don't want to be just a team that plays just for the sake of it. The pride of the Zulu nation tends to be linked and tied to how this team performs. So our obligation, I would argue, is much bigger than that of other teams. We have a responsibility to influence the happiness index of these great people of KwaZulu-Natal. Of course, our support base is beyond just this province. But the fact is that it's mainly located in those provinces where there's a very dominant composition or constituency of people from this province, whether it's in Gauteng, or it's in the Eastern Cape, or it's in Mpumalanga, Western Cape. The support of AmaZulu Football Club grows all the time. Now, when I was, privileged to buy into this team in in October 2020. I set myself a very clear objective. By the time we celebrate our centenary on the 2nd of October in 2032, on what we call Usuthu Day, we will have had at least 13 seasons to model and to define what we want to do. The past 3 seasons, I'll call them, those were the curtain races. I'll call them, those were the trial runs of what the real decade of AmaZulu ought to be. The decade starting this coming season, the 2023-24 season, up to the season 2032-2033 season, which is 10 seasons, is very critical for us. It's very critical for us. The time for trial and error has come, it's gone. We're now serious. We need to put in place steps and measures that will demonstrate all and sundry, especially our supporters, that we are serious about making our mark in the football arena. It is common cause that 2020-2021 season was a great season for us. It was our foray into soccer. We made decisions very early in the season. We had a great run of form, and at the end of the season we came second. And for the first time since our establishment in 1932, you saw AmaZulu leave a South African territory to compete, not in a friendly, to compete for competition's sake. We participated in CAF Champions League, not CAF Confederations Cup, CAF Champions League. Okay. We beat Nyasa Big Bullets at home in Malawi when critics said we ain't coming back. We went to Lubumbashi. We gave TP Mazembe a good run for their money. Okay, we knocked them out. We went into the group stages. We played against some of the great teams in the continent. Okay, we didn't emerge from the group stages. We would have loved to go to the quarterfinals. We would have loved to go all the way. It was not to be, but it was a great achievement, notwithstanding. When it was clear, very clear, that that season, 21-22 season, at the beginning of the 4th quarter, that we were not going to make it to the top 8. Okay, we made quick changes, because I was very clear. I needed to see AmaZulu finish in the top 8. I wanted to participate in the MTN 8 following season. The changes we made secured us a top 8 finish. We were not going to get a top 8 finish. I don't care what people say. We were not going to get it. We got a top 8 finish. We finished 7th. It's now known that this season passed. We participated in the MTN 8 final. It was the first time that AmaZulu participated in the top 8 of whatever form, whether it was BP top 8 or SAA or MTN. It was the first time that was participated in this final in the last 40 years. It was a major achievement for us. That we lost in the final by a very narrow margin of 1-0. Through what I would call a very soft set piece, but it was a legitimate victory by Orlando Pirates. We were encouraged that we could go all the way. If you fast forward to this season past, it was a season of mixed fortunes. The highlight for us was indeed playing in the MTN 8. We played Kaizer Chiefs away and home, and we knocked them out. We came from 1-0 down in Cape Town against Cape Town City. We knocked them out in the quarterfinals. Those were not easy games at all. We lost in the final. It was a highlight for us. It's remarkable as well that we're the first team to reach double-digit points this past season. We're the first team to reach 10 points, even ahead of Mamelodi Sundowns. We were on the roll. But it was very clear that something went horribly wrong in the team, because no sooner had we reached 10 points after 4 games, we then collected only 1 point in the next 5 games. Okay? It was unacceptable by any measure of standard. And we made changes. So the low light for us in this past season, quite frankly, was the rest of our campaign. It was a collective low light. We didn't achieve much. I'm not proud of it, and none of the people that are associated with AmaZulu that I've spoken to can point out to one great highlight in the rest of the campaign. Beating Kaizer Chiefs 4-0. Now we were beaten 4-0 by Orlando Pirates in our last game. Victory is sweet. To then say it was the greatest victory beating scoring 4 goals, I think we'll be misleading ourselves. It was sweet to beat Kaizer Chiefs as much as it was sweet to beat Stellenbosch at King Goodwill Stadium. As much as it was sweet to beat Skukuni, a few weeks ago. Victory is victory. But the rest of the campaign was nothing to rave home about. And we made it very clear that there has to be changes to prepare ourselves for a decade of significance for AmaZulu Football Club. And indeed, we've made those changes. We have made changes at a technical level. We've made changes at an administrative level of the team. We've made changes at a player level. We're not a vindictive team. If you expect me to read the role of people who have been terminated, I will not do that. I think all of these people have a lot of dignity that we need to protect. I will not allow a forum like this to be the one where I say so and so is gone, so and so contract has not been renewed. I don't want to do that. Suffice it to say, among the people whose life with AmaZulu Football Club as a player has come to an end is the legendary Lehlohlo Majoro. I'm singling him out because he has done so much for the team over the years. His debut as a professional player, which was late, was a late bloomer by any measure of standard. AmaZulu gave him that break, and he did so much for AmaZulu during his early stint, and he left to join teams in Gauteng and Western Cape, and he came back. He continued where he left off. I've had a lot of pleasure working with Majoro in the 2020-21 season up until this season passed. So I've indicated to him that in as much as his contractual obligations to the team have now been relieved, and vice versa. That it is my intention that over time to rope him in, because he's been a very exemplary leader to the youngsters, to see what role he can play in the team. Naturally, there will be a cooling off period for him to gather his breath and to discover what his mission is in the short term. And if his mission includes soccer, if his soft spot for AmaZulu continues, then I think there's a cause for a discussion. So we say a big thank you to Major Majoro for his exemplary leadership and role that he played at AmaZulu. He played more than 100 games recently. And in his professional career, he's scored in excess of 90 goals. It would have been his wish, and most certainly my wish, that he scores his 100th goal in the colors of AmaZulu Football Club. But it was not to be. He may choose to continue with his playing career. That's his choice. We wish him all the best. And so do we wish all the best to all the other players whose relationship with AmaZulu will have come to an end. Some of them have got many miles left in their legs. I've got no doubt that they will emerge somewhere. Best wishes to them. We are appreciative of the role they played in AmaZulu Football Club. With those few words, I just want to highlight that going forward, there's quite a few changes that we may bring on board in the organogram, in the structure of AmaZulu Football Club that is under discussion within the team. We may be bringing on board positions that did not exist before. One obvious is one of a sports director. Some teams dabble with the idea of a general manager, technical manager, and others say, look, merge all of that into one called sports director. And others have a sports director, but have a much more junior manager or general manager of the team, or maybe have an elevated team manager to fill that gap between the sports director and the rest of the playing staff. So we're dabbling with those ideas, but in the next few weeks, we should be able to finalize exactly what structure we choose as AmaZulu going forward. We are talking to a number of coaches, both local and international, to see how they can assist AmaZulu in this season and beyond. And that will not be my sole responsibility. It will be the responsibility of myself working with a committee of competent people with coaching experience who are associated with AmaZulu to assist me in choosing who that coach should be. It is our express wish that we'll have finalized that before the resumption of a pre-season program. Hopefully much sooner than that. Thank you very much. I'll be opening myself to questions.